this short talk, I would like to present our paper entitled "Do Not Steal This Article, a study on digital piracy among students," written by my colleague Tjaša JUG and myself. So, to start with, imagine this scenario. You're writing a book on a certain topic and you try really hard to read everything about it. One day you come across a book title that might be relevant to your work, so you try to get your hands on it. Unfortunately, none of the libraries in your country have this book, so you Google it. After learning on Amazon or the publisher's website about the high price of the book, you are still not sure if the title is relevant enough for you, so you try to find out more about the content. With a little effort, you come across the link to a so-called e-book library where you can download the book for free. You might be skeptical about downloading files to your computer and keep searching on Google. It does not take long before you click on somewhat informal link, and there is it! The entire contents of the 300-page book worth more than 100 euros. What would you do? Would you close the link or try to find out if this electronic version is legal? Would you glance through the book to determine if the content is even interesting to you? If it would be, would you buy the book or read the free version online? If you would read it but not buy it, would you be a pirate? Piracy is defined as an act of illegal reproducing or disseminating intellectual property, such as computer software, books, movies, and music, without the permission of the rights holder. There are many subcategories of piracy, such as online piracy, which use computer networks as a mechanism for copying and distributing content, and thus define a type of distribution method. Digital piracy, on the other hand, represents a piracy of digital media content on any medium, such as computer, DVD, USB, etc., and does not necessarily involve a computer network for its distribution. But what are the reasons for people to engage in piracy? Individuals' attitudes and behaviors toward digital piracy are influenced by a variety of factors, including cost and availability of intellectual products, moral beliefs, legal awareness, the individual's income level, and meta literacy. On the following slide, we will show you some images or memes that we found on the internet. One of the biggest problems is that even though people usually know that piracy is illegal, they still access, download, and distribute this kind of content. Because digital piracy does not seem to involve a direct victim, like a retail store thief, some consumers perceive it is less serious than other crimes. However, many businesses report that piracy causes high cost and loss of profits for the producers and creators of music, movies, software, video games, etc. The strongest motivators for pirating are ease, convenience, and price. As seen in this picture, another reason for turning to piracy could be also excessive variety of payable subscription services. An even stronger motivation could be the inaccessibility of the desired content in some countries. Due to the high price of college learning materials, many of them have found more affordable ways to obtain textbooks. Not only do they buy used an international version of textbooks, but they also copy and downloaded copyrighted content from other students or obtain it from so-called e-book libraries such as Z-Library, Manybooks, and Library Genesis. Furthermore, due to the availability and misleading names of these websites, consumers may not even be aware that they are accessing resources illegally. While the ability to understand and respect copyright law is an important competency related to information literacy, some researchers have noted that finding and using unconventional resources may also be perceived as a form of digital literacy, as more literate students tend to download pirate content more frequently than less literate students. The country we come from, Slovenia, is a Central European country with a population of about 2 million. It is sometimes perceived as a pirate country because, unfortunately, there are no strict restrictive measures against piracy. According to Alexa website Traffic Statistics Parties, the portal for illegal file sharing was the 4th most popular website in the country in 2020. The most used piracy services are streaming of TV series and downloading video and audio content via torrents. What is more, the result of Slovenia bookmarked study also show that most people who read ebooks do not buy them, but downloaded them legally and illegally for free. However, according to studies and in comparison with other countries, Slovenia is not at the top of the piracy leaderboard. In our study, we were interested in Slovenian students' practices and attitudes toward piracy, as they are known to be active users of electronic resources for both academic and non-academic purposes. We wanted to obtain answers to 3 main research questions, as you can see in this slide. Are there differences in the ways students obtain resources for study and their leisure? Under what circumstances do students use illegal methods to acquire digital content? What is a general perception of students toward digital piracy? For this purpose, we conducted an online survey which was carried out just before the first lockdown in March 2020. The online questionnaire was distributed to students via social media and resulted in a convenient sample of 259 respondents. Most of our participants were social science and humanities students. The results show that almost all respondents have been involved in piracy at least once in the past, while only about 5% of them have never illegally downloaded any content. Similar to other studies, the results showed that the strongest motivations for acquiring materials illegally were cost and convenience. Students were used to downloading content because it was free and the original product was too expensive. In addition, almost half of them stated that they could access the pirate version faster. On the other hand, the main reason why students were willing to buy digital products in the past, even if the pirate copy probably existed, was to support the authors or creators. The second most frequent reason for purchase was more ethically problematic, as they initially looked for a free online version but did not find it. We also found that there are differences in students' behavior when downloading digital content for leisure and study. For leisure, most respondents downloaded video content for music, 30% of them even several times a week. For their study purposes, students reported that they have mostly illegally downloaded software, video contents, and scientific papers. For this chart, respondents were asked to express their opinion on the level of acceptability of downloading content. Most of them agree that it is acceptable to obtain intellectual products if the author or license allow it. About half of the respondents also consider it is acceptable to download digital content if they use it for educational or non-commercial purposes, or to pretest something before buying it. Most of them also agree, or partially agree, that it is acceptable to download something for personal use. The greatest diversity of opinion, on the other hand, was on the question of whether it is acceptable to download content of digital products they have bought in the past. This chart represents the level of agreement of respondents with various statements about piracy. As you can see from the first line, the vast majority of students disagree that penalties for piracy should be stricter. At the same time, more than half of respondents somewhat believe that pirating study materials is less controversial than downloading content for leisure. It is interesting that only about half of the participants are confident that they can always determine the legality of the online content. They could download it and always know from which website they have acquired their study literature. However, this might not be crucial to them, as they consider the actual acquisition of the study material to be more important than the method of access. They also strongly believe that their educational institution should provide them with all materials and resources free of charge. After the lockdown and drastic changes in our lifestyle, the need for digital content has increased. Companies and service providers in the film, music, and book industries around the world have tried to adapt to this situation by providing digital versions of their products. However, due to the inaccessibility of physical products, digital content becomes a frequent subject of piracy or offered for free, sometimes even without the permission of copyright holders. Since our research was conducted before the pandemic, we assume that piracy practices have changed significantly. While conducting this research, we have faced several challenges that require careful attention. First of all, we have to consider the characteristics of our target group, students. The second challenge is to find a way to encourage diverse individuals to participate in the research on piracy. From the responses and comments to the open-ended questions, it appears that most of our participants are interested in piracy and are also pirates themselves. This does not necessarily mean that most Slovenian students are pirates, but rather that they are more motivated to participate in our research. So, the question is how to approach these students without additionally informing them about illegal websites, and how to educate them about ethical issues and the danger associated with piracy. We believe that librarians, professors, and the media, which has an extremely large influence on this generation, play an important role in raising awareness about this issue. So, that brings me to the end of my presentation. To conclude, I would like to say that the piracy is still present, which was confirmed by our survey. Only 4% of respondents had never pirated content. During COVID-19 pandemic, many publishers granted free access mainly to articles and books. Libraries are using also different possibilities to enable remote access to their users. On the other hand, somewhere, libraries are now facing an increase in prices of digital content. They are also engaged in the education of information literacy of their students. Libraries would like to influence on the students' information behavior in order that they would respect copyright content. However, we would like to see all stakeholders support efforts to develop student information literacy, and that the percentage of students illegally downloading content would decrease. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, we would be happy to answer them.